remember anything, and I'm not even old, so.
You're streaming, sir. You're alive. All right, meeting call to order at 5:31 p.m. Present, Jeff, Annie, David, John, Allison, and Mr. Brad. Which David? Well, we have multiple D David. The original
D. David Wells.
D David. The approval of the minutes.
Make a motion. Minutes.
I'll take that second, all in favor? Aye. Vision petition, we have Brad. Brad's here, as representative of the Parks Department.
I should get out of the way.
Darn it. You ready to go into old business? Old business. I've gotten the information back, the drawings back on the bathroom. And they look fine. We made the changes that we had talked about at the last meeting we had. And they gave me their estimate of cost for that building. Anyone want to venture to guess what it was? Must not be the bathroom. Oh, this the regular bathroom. And this is without dirt work or site prep. So that means the plumbing has not included in this number. $200,000. $200,000. Thank you, inflation. For a restroom. Yeah.
That's what restroom was not plumbing.
That doesn't include the water lines, and sewer lines coming to it. Well, I haven't got a contractor. This is an estimate of cost from the engineers that help. This is what they estimated it would cost us to have it contracted. And I can tell you right now, after talking with my wife and what they're dealing with in Bowling Green, they had some prices come back. They expected to be at one point, it was over $1 million higher than their original estimate. So. Well, it might be worth our while to look again into the prefabricated and look at that and see if we can get any leeway there. But I can guarantee you that we're not going to get them done for 150,000 anything. Now, we might get the one done for that price, but we're not going to get the rest of it. And it's a shame because, because we got to what we're having to do is redo things because code has changed since those old bathrooms that we have now have been built. So that has to be corrected and updated. So, but yeah, it was up to code.
What was the estimate? What did in your mind you had estimated?
In the budget, I had 150,000. That was all, 150,000. They came up 50,000 more on that. I'm gonna be kidding. No, they weren't kidding. And I really expected after talking with Katie and some of the things that projects they've had to deal with and absorbing the routes. And with all the contractors busy, either with construction at the plants or construction on housing, residential and stuff like that.
Which item on the thing was made?
They didn't give us that. They didn't go that route. They just said an estimate, overall estimate, based on square foot. The estimate for their construction was over $500 a square foot in Bowling Green. That's Bowling Green. But here, it's still going to be high. And the days of $100 a square foot, those are gone, brother, for a long time. I don't know how long. Welcome, Mr. Worley. How are you, sir? I'm not going there. Well, I'll tell you, give you an update on where we're at. We were talking about the bathrooms and we got our drawings back. But we also got an estimate of cost. Their estimate of the cost, $200,000.
So, but anyway, we're gonna take a look at some prefabricated options and see if we can't, now that I've got something to work with, maybe it is more to our liking to look at those. They're actually, they prefabricate them, bring them, you have a site prepped and they just bring them in and set them down on site and connect them. And that might be what we want to do. I'll just take a look and see. At this point, I mean, I can ask them if they want to put the extra money in there and go that route, but I'm not going to guarantee you that that's going to be the price, finished price. I know with the finished price, by the time we get done with the water and the electrical and all the other stuff there, we're going to put another 25 to 50,000. That's not site prep. That's just the structure itself. So you can go another 25, 50,000. So you're talking about $250,000 for that bathroom. I'm like, oh my God. Or possibly. So I think we're going to look at something that might be prefabricated and see if we can find it that looks good and see if we can get it in there under what we're looking at right now. But at least we know what we're dealing with. And if, when I get caught up with construction around here, maybe prices will come back down some. But right now, with all the construction that's going on because of the storms and then the material prices going up, that's just the thing. So everything is up from what it was. I mean, we're looking anywhere from 50 to 100.
I mind these.
115, 125. So it was, wait a minute, you're talking concrete. I was talking asphalt. I'm sorry. Right. Yeah, asphalt is ridiculous. It was 115 last year. This year they're talking 125.
It's petroleum, I guess, probably.
So we just got to, we're just going to set priorities. That's all. So we're not going to be able to do what we have been doing. Maybe we're okay with gravel for a little while until things get back down. They do come back down eventually. I remember the days when interest rates on loans and on the money you were making were double digits, and we swore it would never come down, and we got all the way down to 2%, 2%. And people giving them to you for less than 1%, and now it's back up again. Well, I mean, it's a cycle.
Yeah, and during that time, nobody is good.
Right.
Yeah. But right now, of course, everybody's building because of the storms. They got no choice. So,
It's got like corners. It is Marshall, outside of Knoxville, Barnes, this side of Knoxville. Blowing up. Construction. Everywhere. I mean,
was that an explosion or was it just a tornado?
no.
Just
Tennessee.
Oh, you're talking about
West
construction.
Yes, and north.
Sorry, I'm between Ohio and here, and I'm thinking something just ripped it to pieces.
No. I'm just saying Knoxville, northwest Knoxville.
Okay.
Booming.
Hmm.
Well, Bowling Green is unbelievable too. It's the fastest growing city in the state of Kentucky right now. And I'm telling you, in the last 10 years, you would not, if you've been 10 years out of going to Bowling Green, you wouldn't recognize it.
Yeah.
A lot of the places downtown are no longer there. They've redone them. It's really nice what they've done. But when my daughter stayed when she was in college, it's 2-story apartments now. And I'm talking about rows and rows of nice red brick 2-story apartments and hotels and restaurants wrapped up inside all of it too. So I mean, it's
Yeah,
nice.
that's the same for like. It's a lot. Depends on what school they're in.
You
want to talk about the check?
No, that's water and sewer. Public Wi-Fi, we're almost complete with that project. It will be fiber optics and be open to the public. It will not replace what we have in City Hall for City Hall, but it can be used and will be used as the Wi-Fi inside of the
Civic Center as well. And it will run from the park here all the way down to Old Park. Lift station, it's installed down at Old Park. It does not, the weather being what it is, we can't get it dressed. The ground has not been dressed yet, so we've still got some fencing around it, silt fencing around it, and construction fencing around it. The bike trail ramps have been ordered. We're waiting for them to come. The storm last week dropped a tree in Memorial Park and took out one of our lamps, decorative lamps. So took it off right at the base, didn't it?
Yeah.
So we're gonna order a new one, and we're gonna order a spare so that we'll have one for the future. Banners, we've got some, we looked at some, and I'm waiting, you know, I know that we're waiting to see some color. They've got, like I said, what they sent was like that whiteboard right there with black lettering or black silhouette on it. And that's what they sent. I'm going, that's, and Danae didn't, the design itself was okay, but you got to put color to it. You can't put black and white out there in that park. I'm sorry, it just doesn't flow. So we got to get some, they're supposed to be coming back with, and I said, utilize the colors of our city.
Yeah.
You know, don't go with the navy, go with all the colors.
Yeah.
You know, and then put those colors and make those, it's just, if you know, blast it in there or something, but put some color in it, make it kick, you know. And we're probably gonna, at the price we're looking at, we'll probably be able to order a few extra of each. So if something does happen, we can replace them. And these will be the 2x4 banners. So. What else, Brad? Anything else going?
Everything's just firing up, getting ready. We got soccer and baseball and everything's just about to start. That's what we're basically working on, have them start prep the ball field a little bit, get them up in shape and check all the lights, make sure all this stuff working good. Soccer fields, start lining,
Yeah.
doing all that kind of stuff. It looks like they're ready to enjoy the parks this winter.
Oh, yeah.
Spring, winter, isn't it?
Believe me, if it gets about 50 degrees, like they're playing basketball, they're playing pickleball.
I've seen a lot of basketball.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like for them.
Parks
You
and
know, it's
Rec
really-
budget is doing okay. It's not, it's right at where, it's right at or just below where it should be this time of the year. We've got a couple of line items that are high, but for the most part, it's tracking pretty true for them. I don't think there's gonna be any fluff in there or anything like that. Unless we just can't get to a project or whatever, but overtime. With one of the things we didn't do that we need to address in next year's budget, and it's not really stuff that you guys deal with, but just so you have knowledge of it, is that we're gonna have to go back and reassess our overtime computation simply, and I don't mean that by the factor, what I'm talking about is by the hours. Because so we're doing so much more in the park, okay? More of the larger events, and when we do that, we have to have manpower there that we haven't had the need for in the past. But we do now. We've got to go back in and reassess that. And so that's going to probably increase their the budget. And I'm looking at probably going somewhere 50 to 80% higher than it was this year for next year. Just simply because of the number. I'll know more when we can sit down with Blair and look at what she has in store, what she's projecting for this next year as far as those large events. You know, we paid overtime, it was all day overtime for one guy this past weekend, right?
Yeah, he
2
did
days?
that
Total
Saturday,
on Saturday.
just on Sunday.
Yeah. Was it just Saturday?
Yeah, the
Okay.
event was.
Well, the coffee, coffee and chocolate, right? Was a huge success. Something like over 3,000 people. Yeah.
It's neat.
And so, it went over very well. But it kept Nick hopping pretty much most of the day. So, and which is good. We like to see the people here, but it's just that we're gonna have to readjust for that. That's something we hadn't taken into consideration previously that we will this year. Motor fuel and lubricants, which is basically our fuel for mowers and tractors and all that stuff, is ahead of where it would normally be. We're a full month ahead of where we should, probably shouldn't be that far ahead, because now we're fixing to get back into the mowing season, which we had been out of. And,
Yeah, about.
so,
This
yeah.
week right now.
So what you look at, we will go over on the fuel. Yeah. Those are the only two items really that are out there. The other item we had was the single item in 601, 599, which was the tables and chairs for the Civic Center. It went over a little, $1,044. That's a one-time deal, but again, for the most part, everything else has been tracking fairly well. So it's not really, it's snug, but it's not. It's something that we can work. It'll work through. I think it won't be over budget this year. I don't
So
think that.
the rest are being on hold.
Well, I don't know that just yet. I'm gonna do some more checking to see. Most likely it'll go into next year's budget though.
We can look at it. 45 or 2 out.
No, I've already got porta potties out. I've got 2 right now.
Okay.
Actually, I've got 3, 2 in Doctor's Park, and I've got 1 down at the tennis court.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna add any more at this point.
Was this big enough one up there? Trying to think of what's that.
Yeah, they're right up there. at the
There's
corner.
1 down here, and there's 1 up here by the basketball court.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's not that far. It's between, it's up there by the little piece down from the pickleball. I mean, it's not right beside it. It's closer to where mamas and the kids are at. And it's by the playground. It's closer there. And we could probably center it, but I really like, it's kind of tucked back a little bit where it's not as noticeable.
Right.
If I move it over, it's gonna be right in everybody's view, so. But we could move it down until mamas and youngins start complaining about it, so. Actually, where it's at right now is not a bad spot. It's not the best, but it's not bad. Because when we put the other one in, we're gonna eliminate that, so someone's gonna have to walk all the way down to the other end, but at least there's 1 there, you know, and it will be a multiple, and it won't be a porta john. Okay. Huh? Yes. That's kind of that's where we are on the financials as far as that goes, so you'll know we're right there. Projects. One of the projects that did we not start? Well, actually, yeah, we did too. The mountain bike trail features, we've ordered them.
Yeah, but I mean, the bike racks.
Oh, the bike racks, we've got them,
Yeah, we
but
have.
they haven't installed them, and we haven't installed the memorial table that we got to install. And of course, the park bathrooms, but Memorial Park infrastructure. We haven't done that yet. We may want to look at that. If that's the only other project. And I don't know, it depends on the time, you know, whether, because that's the laying water lines and conduit and electrical lines is what that is. So
Probably way underpriced it, the way everything else.
I got a feeling you're right. So I mean, we would be lucky if that would take care of one of them right now. But we'll look into that and see what we come up with. Get an idea of what we're talking about. Carrying over projects to next year. Of course, the bathrooms may be what we carry over, the big one. So I guess we need to start thinking about what we need to finish. What we need to look at. Do we want to carry over? We want to start looking at that, continue the infrastructure. I think we need, it wouldn't hurt to add another light. We might can work that in. It wouldn't hurt to add another light on the front. But that, we'll take a look at that and see if that's something we can pull out of this year's budget. Another one, decorative ones down at Memorial Park. We'll see about that. What else? Oh, at some point, I'd like for us to fence the field, the softball field down there at Old Park. Finish it. I mean, you know, we've got the backstop now, we've got the dugout area, we've got the infield and everything, but it wouldn't hurt to do the fencing, to finish the fencing around that rascal. Because that is set up and it's got the room to be a high school size softball field. And that would work, that field would also work for some games. Now, it wouldn't have lights at this point, but at least we would have it fenced where we can actually keep the balls in the field anyway.
I agree. It's bigger than it was. You actually walk it.
Is it?
Right field's a little short, but right field's got plenty of room.
Right field is it's got enough room for high school softball field, even on right field. I mean, it goes out beyond the 200. Is it 200, 220? There's something in that 200, 220, and we go further. We go out
For
further.
some
than that.
reason, 240 comes to my mind, what we have.
That's what we got, but I think that is like 220, 200, 220 on that outfield there on the left and the right side. So that would actually be enough room to have a high school size softball field.
Would we want to restrict it to that or go a little bigger down the left of line?
We get into that, we don't have to. Then when you go back to the whole thing and you're sitting there going like, well, you got this way, this is longer, this is shorter. Going, it's more of a practice field right now anyway. But you know, later on, if we do decide to put lights in there, which again, we're thinking about flood lane, an area that floods quite often. So do we want to go there with a lot of infrastructure? It was designed not to be a field for, you know, team play as much as it was a team or field that we would have for churches and individuals and companies that wanted a field that they could go play when the teams are playing down here. That was the whole point of that. I specifically tried to keep, and we have kept that out of the agreement, sports league agreement for CCBSA because of that. I wanted it to be open so that the public had a place to go. You know, even when the teams are playing, they have a place to go if they want to do something. So, and that's one of the reasons I have it. I didn't. The other thing is I don't want to put a ton of money into that area. And I'm sure we could make the lights work, but
I'm
it's
just thinking, you know, if I had a picnic with some family, 220 feet, you're still gonna have a possibility. Having to go find those falls and weeds.
if you go much further than that, you're either going to be in there in the playground, or you're going to be out in the cattle field. One of the two.
No, the field was there before, it's just.
But it was turned the other direction.
And it was,
But it was all coming over to the playground or where we park now, but now it's turned where we go out.
I think the line was 265. So I mean, there's So that left field line should still have
The
enough. room.
outfield, the center outfield though was short.
Yeah, if you had 100 feet beyond the backstop, where the parking was back there, so there's room to make that a little bigger on that end to where if you have a picnic there, everybody's not just hitting it over the fence almost every time. Just, maybe it's just for fun. What do you got?
To look at it, it seems like it's pretty short.
It is down right field line.
I mean, like, there's not much space to go because you're in the, like you said, cattle fields.
Well, you got, if you're going down the left field, you're headed towards somebody else's property. If you go to right field, you're headed to the playground. In center field, you're headed toward the playground and or all the above.
Once you decided to flip it around,
I'm just saying. put
your
the
home run
fence-
balls are now into somebody
Well,
else's property as
Yeah, the
opposed to.
reason we flipped it is partially because of access. Number one, now we have parking that's close enough to it. You don't have to walk all around. And the bathrooms are in the area where you sit instead of on the opposite side of the field. So it was designed and
But I'm just saying, I don't know, you can't make it a 270.
No, no, we're not trying to make it up.
make it more.
We're not trying to make it.
Well,
But at 220, I mean, a pop-up is gonna go over the fence, you're not. Around the fence.
Yeah, you're probably, but
I'll tell you what, I don't know how anybody does it, something besides base hits in high school. If it's that short and it's a high school field, how are they not going all up? Everyone's hitting on runs.
Where you're gonna.
High school football,
So we're not being sloppy, so.
you're not, that's not a field, yeah, that field's not made for, it's too small for minutes.
That's what I'm thinking.
For sure, you gotta go to restricted flag ball.
Well, I'm looking at families and I'm talking about, kids. I'm not really talking about
Yeah.
pro ball or the
Well, that may actually keep it from being. Yes. You keep it that short, it'll make it so they won't be.
In
league
league
softball, but that's fine. I think that's the other, they go other places.
Yeah.
Seems okay to me.
You're gonna have a high school and little league in a high school, a fast pitch and little league.
And that's really, just trying to, something that gives you a place to go play.
It's kind of an overflow field. Use it, it may.
It's kind of like playing out field 3. Cause that's pretty close to what field 3 is.
Far balls, ground balls. Really play games or something.
But I see what you're saying, it used to be. That's good. That would only be, that would only be the case. Means
I was thinking of, you have both. More of a co-ed type thing.
obviously, switching, obviously, mainly obviously.
Which I'm really gonna advantage on that.
Most people.
We can leave it as it is and it doesn't. That
Well,
way,
there's maybe just put a catch net on the fence line, catch like a hard hit line drive from going into the field. So you don't have to go look for them. I don't know, just something like that might be handy, just something that's gonna contain the balls a little better. Versus it just, because if you hit a hard line drive, it's just gonna skid and go out into that field. I don't know, just thought that would be inexpensive too. Versus having to put a fence in.
Well, we'll do some looking, see what our prices are and go from there. I really need, but what I need from you guys is some ideas about what you think we need to look at. And what is and what kind of priorities do you guys want to set on what, okay? Because that is coming up, and with budget, I need to know. And I'd like to know some things like next month, so I can actually start doing the checking on the prices and stuff. We're gonna have to replace some mowers, I know that. We've been taking the old mowers and creating creations.
Frankenstein mowers.
Brand's making Frankenstein mowers, yeah, and they're working really well too. We've got, right now, we work the infield with a mower that has the blade, or the blades were replaced with the hair. And so you can raise and lower the hair and do the inside of the, work up the inside of the field, break it up in no time flat. Then he's also created one where they've mounted a blower on the front, so they can run through there and blow the leaves off the trails, as well as blow them up so the vacuum cleaner can come get them. So, I mean, it's just, you give him some toys and he comes up with some Frankensteins. And they work very well. Took the old garbage truck and the leaf vac trailer, which had 6 wheels, 3 axles. And we had to replace wheels twice a season because you had to pivot so much, it was just wearing the tires out. Well, he took the leaf vac off of it and mounted it on the old garbage truck frame. And now that's the leaf truck you see running through here. So
That's great.
he's worth his biscuits, that's for sure.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So,
Anything to make it quicker and easier.
That's true. Time to hire as many people then.
we're at that point. We either start hiring some more or we start contracting out more. And that's something else. With everything else we're taking on, one of the things short of sport fields is probably going to be, or could possibly be down the road if we add more and more and more, then the guys are not going to have time to do the mowing. We'll have to contract the mowing out, which is not a bad idea. And it gives them time to do the things they need to do. Maintaining the flash pad, maintaining the safety of the equipment that we've got out there, making sure the civic center is in order. So there's just all kinds of things that they take care of that we don't look at in the everyday. But it's coming along. It's coming along well. We've got one heck of a park system.
We did.
You guys have done well. Done well.
Great.
Have you got anything that you think needs to be addressed? Parks?
We're gonna have to work on our paving and stuff down in here around the ball field. It's getting really bad. And segments of Old Park down that road. It's getting some big potholes and stuff that we're having to deal with.
Is that from the water, you think, or is it just?
Yeah, just wear and tear. I don't know when the last time they
The parking lot by the old tennis, where the old tennis course used to be, we eventually look at paving that too.
So even pay?
No, you talking about the other one I built.
No, we're not. That's because that's in the floodplain and we want that to be less than impervious. It's not really, it doesn't drain like regular soil does, but it drains better than asphalt or concrete. And that's one of the reasons we're leaving it gravel, so it gives it a chance that water to work through. And that was part of the reason going with the gravel versus the pavement. Because it's bad enough as it is, you try to put more impervious surface down there, and then you've really got this mess.
Probably look at least some maybe forming around those grass islands. Right now it's just kind of little grass and stuff. Maybe at least put some curbs around it, kind of fill it in, make it look really nice.
I'll put some sort of a retainer stone or something like that, yeah. I just don't want the gravel. Now, we need to make sure the gravel's leveled up and everything like that. But again, it's designed, to help to slow the water shedding and maybe absorb some of it as opposed to sheet flowing it like crazy across there. Because like I said, we're sitting in a floodplain, and when it floods feet, not inches down there. So, the last time it didn't flood down there, it was really strange where it flooded Normally, we would have, and it has flooded twice down there, I know since I've been there, but not 3 times. And I'm talking about up 2 feet, 2.5 feet.
Get much more rain, it's gonna flood this year.
Oh, it's gonna flood again. This is Calvert City on the Tennessee River in springtime. There are gonna be floodwaters. It just happens. You know, I don't see us having a drought this year. Not until summer. But you know, 2 of the floods we've had were not in spring. One of them was in summer, one of them was in fall, which is weird, but you know, you would think with all the rain we get in the spring, that would be your flood season. We've had one, I think, one every season, but winter. But yeah. But it didn't flood down there last night, did it? It got some water, but it wasn't flooded.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Remember 17? No, those areas. Actually, I'm not 14 on that one. Couldn't get through to 15 right now.
When we do the interior of the asphalt around the ball fields at Dr. Park, we need to make sure that we go in there and probably lower them a little bit to allow the water to drain off the fields instead of having it creating a dam along the edge of that. So we'll need to go in there and probably take all that asphalt off and then probably regrade it. And I don't know, you think we'll have to undercut that? You think that base is okay, or is it?
I don't know, we'll just have to see when we get in there.
That's
I
true.
mean, it's held up pretty good. Generally, it's not good when you remove the asphalt because of, I don't know, it holds moisture or something in there, and a lot of times it just turns mush. But it's gonna have to be removed because it's already high enough now that we have water issues. If you really have a big rain, of actually trying to run in the building. But,
So yeah, we're gonna have to actually go in there and probably take it down a few inches. And probably redo that base.
it was not,
No, I'm talking about Doctor's Park back here. You know, down there by the concession stand.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that area.
yeah, it's really getting rough, and we've cut across it running electric and lining wires and all kinds of crap and plumbing, and it's getting cut up.
Mhm. Yeah, it's very cool.
So that's an area that we'll need to address.
And it won't be a
But-
cheap fix unless I do most of it, because I think, what was it, 130? I think I kinda had a price estimate done. And for them to come in, it's like contractor come in there, and that was before asphalt went crazy.
Right.
Come in, remove it, lower it down and fix it back.
And we've got some spots where of course, the bleachers are on concrete. And we'll probably leave that as it is, and then come back with the asphalt, but lower the ground so that does it. Because we want it to slope back toward that ditch. So it can drain easier. Away from the buildings.
Well, I don't know, we're hoping.
Yeah. And we'll just have to see.
Long term. The way this keep going on.
True. And like I said, it may be that things change in the way we have to handle things in the future. I mean, as far as, because we've got, again, we're gonna have some big ticket items that we're having to deal with through the water system. Both the utilities are gonna need some heavy funding on some improvements and some expansions that we're looking at. We're still waiting on a garbage truck we ordered this time last year.
Uh,
supposed to be in at Christmas, in December. Then it was due in February, maybe this month, we'll see.
Tree limbs that are from this storm. They need to be cut down to a certain time.
It needs to be around 6 feet long.
Okay.
The reason that it keeps it in the truck instead of hanging out. If I put them on the curb, then we'll get them in their regular first of the month pickup.
Okay.
We'll take a look at it because the 14th won't be a pickup because we got a special training that day. It'll be the week after that, most likely. 15th, I'm sorry, 15th. That's the normal Tuesday, Friday, pickups, first of the month. The second, Wednesday is when we usually do the pickups for them, but we're probably gonna push that up back a week because we got some training we have to get done. And it's gonna take, I've got to send all the utility and the public works people and city hall people to it, so. But it'll be on the agenda. They'll start working on it, but if you're gonna put it out, cut it to 6 feet. That way it fits in the truck and is not hanging out of the truck. That's the issue there. We could probably make do with 8, but 6 is best. Are you okay with 8 or
Yeah, that's.
8 feet? Okay.
8 feet.
Yeah, if you get it within 8 feet, we can get in a truck. It's still run it. We don't want it hanging out too far off the truck. I don't want, 16-footer going in there and hanging out of the truck. So that's all I have. What you got, anything else?
Any other new business?
You think anything we missed? I'm asking. Okay.
Hey, you guys are getting back. Motion to adjourn. Ready? Second, Jen, all in favor, aye. Meeting adjourned.
13.